This whole piece of wire went through my arm. What's up, my YouTubers? Today I want to talk to you about weeds in your yard that are beneficial. They might actually save you a trip to the doctor. This video is not sponsored by Mother Nature. Little disclaimer, when modern medicine is needed, go to the freaking doctor. But if you can avoid the trip and treat yourself at home for free, why not? Let me show you. The other day, I was getting puppies out of my garden because that's so fun. That's so fun of them to get in my garden. We have some metal fencing on our gate door, our garden gate door. We cut it down to size. So there's these little pieces that are sharp and they poke out from where we cut this little metal fencing to fit, right? As I was getting a puppy out of my garden, my arm went back like this and I pierced my arm right here. It doesn't look bad right now, but it went in right here and exited over here, and it was painful, not a fun experience. As you can imagine, our fences are not clean or sanitary in any fashion. I was already outside weeding the garden and sweaty and gross and dirty. Carried on with normal activity after I pierced my arm on the fence. It is not unusual for us to get hurt here on the farm, even though I try to be very careful. Every evening when we go in, my friend Lynn even says she likes to play the game of where did this bruise come from, or how did I get this scratch? And that's absolutely a game that we play here as well. A lot of the times we have no idea what happens. We don't even realize that we've been injured because it happens so often until, you know, it's a problem. This particular owie, I went all day long with. It was sore, it was very red, but I still didn't go in and wash it and clean it and dress it until it was way late at night. And I showered and saw that it was a little more angry than I would like. I'm assuming because it was a dirty fence that literally pierced through. It wasn't just a scratch. This whole piece of wire went through my arm. I put some Neosporin on it before I went to bed, covered it with a Band-Aid, thought everything would be fine. When I woke up the next morning, everything was not fine. It looked like this. It was hot, it was red, there was like black from the fencing on my Band-Aid, it was swollen, and it was angry. As you all know, I'm already a very busy person. Some of you may or may not know, do not enjoy going to doctors. To avoid going to the doctor at all costs, I will do everything I can do here first before I go to the doctor and seek modern medicine to help me with whatever ailment I have. One of the things that I found from homesteading for the past several years is a weed that's in your yard or your driveway or the cracks of your sidewalk that's called plantain. There's a broadleaf plantain, there's a narrowleaf plantain, but the broadleaf plantain is what I like to work with. You're probably most familiar with the broadleaf. I'm sure you do see the narrowleaf. We're going to talk about the broadleaf plantain. The broadleaf plantain looks like this. It has stringy sort of like veins in it. It's got very smooth edges. In its mature state, it puts out these like long seed pods out of the center of the plant. When they're real young, they don't have that seed pod present. The entire plant is completely edible. A lot of people like to dry the leaves and use it in a tea, like the seed pods in their oatmeal. We like to use the leaves in like stews and soups in the winter time. The benefits of plantain when you eat them are pretty great. Vitamins A and C and K. It contains calcium, iron, potassium. It's also an anti-inflammatory, antifungal, and also an antibacterial. Taking it in internally is just as beneficial as using it on your owies. Plantain was once known to be like a cure-all. I will tell you that plantain works so well for skin ailments that we use it on ourselves and our animals. Because of all of its like antibacterial, antifungal, anti-inflammatory properties. Say for instance, you have a chicken that got hurt somehow and you aren't sure what happened or what's wrong, or maybe it's a skin infection of some sort. I can almost put money on and be confident that plantain is going to help heal that chicken. In fact, I've healed all of our chickens with plantain. There's one really quick way you can use. This is one that we like to use in the event that we have stings or bug bites. In this case, my arm was very angry and I wanted to deliver some of the plantain properties like right now to this owie, because Like, I really was starting to get anxious, like, this is not good. I'm gonna have to end up going to the doctor. It's gonna take 3 hours out of my day. I'm gonna have to get my blood pressure taken. They're gonna tell me I'm sick and I'm dying and blah, blah, blah. And I wanted to avoid that at all costs. I also had to go get my driver's license renewed, and because it had been expired for so long, I had to do a driving test. So add some health anxiety onto my driving test. That wasn't it. That was not fun for me. It was not a fun morning. Before I went to this driving test, I grabbed some plantain out of the yard, put it in your mouth and chew it up. It does not taste bad. The older plants are kind of like maybe a more bitter taste, but it's very like salad-like tasting, as you can imagine grass or weeds would be. Don't be going and chewing up all weeds, because some of them are not good for you. Plantain is entirely safe. Make sure that you are knowledgeable of what plant you're sticking in your mouth when you do things like this. You chew it up, you kind of make this like pesto-y, chopped up sort of like, I don't want to call it a paste. There's like a real word for it. I can't remember. It starts with a P. We're going to call it a pesto. It's very much like some sort of something you would put on a dish to eat, except for it's been chewed up in your mouth like a mama bird. Take this chewed up wad of plantain out of your mouth and just stick it on whatever owie you have. In this case, it was my arm piercing that I stuck this plantain on. We use it for mosquito bites, bee stings, stinging nettle, sunburns, just literally anything. People also use it for eczema and acne. It really is like a cure-all. You guys, we have used plantain for literally every skin ailment that we have, and it just does amazing. What am I going to benefit from telling you that plantain is like the best thing you can use on skin stuff? It's not like I'm getting any, kickback. This video is not sponsored by Mother Nature, and I'm not getting a portion of the proceeds. I stick this plantain on my owie. I covered it with a Band-Aid, and I went and did my driver's test. When I put this plantain on, my arm was red and sore and hot, and again, I was very nervous that I was going to end up having to go to the doctor. For whatever reason, the Neosporin did nothing the night before. After the driver's test, it probably took about an hour. My son went in to he had a barbecue that day with his baseball team, and he had to bring chips. So he went into the store to grab chips. While he was in there, I took my Band-Aid off to just kind of assess the situation to see if I was dying or not. The redness was almost entirely gone. It just looked so much better. And just further solidifying my belief in this plant to heal things. It just has all of those properties. I know that there are some people that probably look at herbalists and people that use plants as medicine like they're crazy. Like, yeah, right, Susan, your plant is not healing your cancer, but they're not crazy. There are people that you need to listen to and learn from. One person that I like to watch and learn from especially is April from She Is of the Woods. That's her YouTube channel, She Is of the Woods. And she will teach all of you all of the things for free. You don't have to go get a degree to be an herbalist. You can treat yourself just with some basic knowledge and a little bit of research. Another way that we like to use plantain, so we have it all year round. We have snow here in the wintertime, so plantain isn't readily available in the wintertime for any skin ailments that we may have, or for any animals that may need treated. The animals more so in the wintertime, might have a cut or an abrasion or something that they need treated. So what we like to do is make plantain salve. In order to make a plantain salve, or any salve, you're gonna need to make an oil first. And the way I like to make my oil is to gather whatever herb I'm using. In this case, we're using plantain. Take your herb inside, you rinse it off, and you let it dry completely. You don't want your plant life to still have any moisture in it, because it could cause your oil to go rancid, and you don't want to be putting rancid oil on your skin. That would be not awesome. So there's lots of different ways that you can do this. After I've rinsed off my plant, and the only reason I rinse it off is so if there's any bugs, or sometimes there's bird poop on it, or any of the dogs have went to the bathroom by it. I mean, you don't want that on your skin, right? Like, we're not treating our owies with bird shit, right? So you want to rinse them off, dry them out. This could take anywhere from 12 hours to 3 or 4 days to make sure that it's completely good and dry. And then you're going to take whatever herb it is, roses, lavender, plantain, calendula, whatever your herb is that you're working with. You are going to put it into a quart jar, pack it as full as you can pack it, and then cover it with an oil. There are many different kinds of oils that you can use. So as April would tell you, do your research and decide which oil works best for you and your family. Some people have allergies to certain oils and just prefer to use something different than the next guy. So you're gonna cover your herb with your oil, and you are gonna sit it down in the jar and everything with the oil and your herb in it down into like a double boiler. You're gonna have a little saucer or a little pot that is simmering, barely simmering, by the way. If you get your water too hot, you're gonna kill all of those medicinal properties that you want to infuse into your oil. So you want your water to just barely be simmering, just like bloop, bloop, bloop. And I just leave that like that all day long. The longer you can leave it, the more it's gonna infuse those properties that you want from it, and the better medicine it's gonna be for you, right? That's how you make oil. Like literally, that's how you make any sort of oil. We have rose oil, lavender oil, plantain oil, we have calendula oil, we have peppermint oil, we have all the oils. Sometimes using an oil is a little messy, and especially if we're using it on the chickens. A lot of times they have injuries on their heads from fighting with each other, and putting oil on a chicken's head, first of all, you know, once that oil gets warm, it just like is a big mess, and it drips all over and it gets into their eyes. And oil is just a little bit harder to work with. So we create salve for our owies, kind of like our own little Neosporin. In order to do that, you just take your oil that you have, take a little chunk of beeswax. You're gonna melt the beeswax down in your jar until it's completely melted. And then I like to do like a 2-to-1 ratio. So I'll put in like a little cube of beeswax and then put twice as much oil into it. It is really not hard to do. If your salve ends up cooling to where it's too thick, just melt it all back down, add a little bit more oil. If your salve is too thin and you want it to be a little bit thicker, melt it all back down and add a little bit more beeswax. It's really, really simple to do. Not something that anybody should be intimidated by or scared to try. You quite honestly can't mess it up at all. Again, in the event that you have an owie that needs dealt with like right away and you don't have plantain oil made up, because you don't have to. If it's midsummer, which is when most skin owies or skin injuries happen, just go out and gather a couple of leaves of plantain, chew that ish up, and slap it on whatever it is that's causing the problem. I know you will thank me later. There's a lot of this stuff that I think is beneficial to everyone in any circumstance. It could be something that you use regularly. It could be something that you need to use in an emergency situation that isn't your normal. If you want to continue to use Neosporin, that's amazing, but sometime you might not have Neosporin to help you. And in this case, using the plantain saved me a doctor trip and a doctor bill and the anxiety. I mean, it's a win-win situation. Guys, there are so many more beneficial weeds that you have all around you that you don't even know about, and you're killing them to have a pretty yard. I'm not all about that life. Bring me all the weeds for all of the things so I can heal my pierced arm. Also, though, piercing your arm is not recommended. It's very painful. Don't do it. 0 out of 5 stars. Do not recommend. Anyways, that's all I've got for you guys today. If you like this video, subscribe to our channel, and we will see you again next time. Goodbye!